Hello, my friends. Happy New Year. Just a quick one. I've been pondering an idea to sort of get me back into creating and working on content and things like that. And one of the ideas that's hit me, and it's one that sorry, I just changed hands. Apologies. Shook the screen a lot more than I expected. There you go. I'll do that, then you got my finger in the way. It's not great either way. Anyway, I should get a stand. I should get something. I'm getting completely off topic. I could start again. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave you that. Enjoy. I've been hit with an idea. And the idea I've been hit with is I used to be a big fan of a channel on YouTube called Geek Crash Course. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Basically what they did was short 5-minute videos that worked as like a primer to a particular thing. So like if they did an episode on Power Rangers or Doctor Who, they'd give you like the basics of what it was and maybe recommend a few things to try. And I always thought that show was great. I loved it. And they got into some really niche stuff. They did some bizarre films that I've never heard of that I've added to my list. The channel has unfortunately been defunct for years. I'm still subscribed to it in case it ever does come back, and one day I kind of hope they do. I know the two people making it, they end up moving apart. They're living in completely different areas of America now, so and I don't even know if either of them are still making content anywhere online. But it would be nice to see more of it. I don't know if that ever will happen. But the idea hit me of doing like a kind of fandom primer is what I'm thinking of it as. Like, here is a thing that I'm a fan of. Here's your basic intro to it. Like, us going in assuming you know nothing, right? Here is the basic things you need to know. Here are some main characters, and a little bit about each of them. Here's the basic idea of what the story is. If it's a franchise, here's a basic guide of what each entry is and what sort of things you can expect from them. Maybe not every entry for some of them. Some of the ones like Marvel, Star Wars, for example, there's a lot of things there, so I'm not going to cover everything. I'm not going to cover every Star Wars novel, every Star Wars series, for example, but I might say, like, oh, here's a couple of series that you might enjoy, here's a couple of books you might enjoy, here's a couple of comics that you might enjoy, etc. And I think that's something I could get excited about, and I could get excited about doing, and they'd work for me as like a basic link as well for whatever I'm wanting to speak about. So if I do a podcast, I can link that primer for whatever I'm talking about in the podcast, which works for me brilliantly, because I'm thinking of doing it on my blog, or possibly as a video format. I'm not quite sure yet. I could do them as shorts. If I script them well enough, I could probably do them in 10 minutes if I actually structure it properly. And do them as like a series of like TikToks and YouTube shorts. But I want to know from anyone out there, is that the sort of thing you would be interested? Would you be interested in a primer on a fandom? Like, assuming you knew nothing about, say, Doctor Who, or Star Trek, or Marvel, or DC, or even not even Marvel and DC as big things. Like, you know nothing about the X-Men. You know nothing about Deadpool. You know nothing about Harley Quinn or Batman or Superman. Or maybe even you've seen a bit, but you don't know a lot. Like, maybe you've seen the new movie or a trailer for a new movie and you think, that looks cool, I'd like to know more about that. Is that something that would interest you? Having like that quick primer that you can just send to a friend or look at yourself, because you can send it to a friend if it's like, oh, here's a thing I think is really cool. Here's what you need to know about it. Because, for example, one of my things for that would be Warhammer. Warhammer, I think, is really cool, and I think there is something in it for everyone. So I would recommend it to people, and I'd say, here's Warhammer, here's something you might like about it. But, you know, so Warhammer's going to be one if I do this. But, like, I'll probably do other things as well. You know, obviously I'm going to do all sorts of other content. But I think it could be a really good idea. I hope. I think it's a good idea. And I want to know if people also think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. It's something I'm excited about. It's something I can see myself doing. And I could do it for a lot of things. I have a really wide range of fandoms. It's the ADHD and the autism. It's like, I must know everything about this particular thing. So, for example, say, the new Fallout series that's just come out. I could do, what is Fallout? Here's what Fallout is. Stranger Things. You know, I could tie it into upcoming movie releases. You know, things like Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just came out. What is Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, this is what it is. This is what it basically is. And some of this I do put into podcasts whenever I do talk about these things. But I think just having it in its own particular place could be a really good idea. So, what do you think? Does this sound like something that you might be interested in watching, or you might be interested in recommending to a friend? Because if so, that's what I want to know. Because, like I said, I'm excited, and I'm probably going to do it anyway, but I also want to know that there's an audience for it. In the meantime, if you don't know me, I do run a podcast. I have over 80 episodes uploaded onto YouTube, Spotify, etc., links in things. You know, you can find the things in the things. You don't say this stuff because it gets lost. But yeah, if you want to listen to my podcast, I'm currently taking a break at the minute, mental health break and a few other things. If you want to listen to any of my episodes, I've got some that I'm really quite proud of. I've got some that, you know, I've probably not aged as well as I would like for whatever reason. Not for any bad reasons. Like, it's not like I'm using slurs or anything like that. Just like some of the information in it is now outdated. Some of my opinions have changed, things like that. But yeah, it's I've been doing it for a while now. I'm quite proud of it. If anything I've spoken about interests you, maybe have a look. There might be an episode on something that you like that I've already done. Okay? Until next time, my friends, you all look after yourselves, take care of your physical and mental health as best as you can, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.